hundreds of millions of dollars.
And that is all you need to know to really set up what we're going to be talking about today. And the very first article we're talking about is the Fed's not ready to cut rates, but hinting at a rate cut. So I'm going to read the article first just to give you some little nuggets. We'll then watch the clip from Jerome Powell.
Let's do it.
And we'll go into a little bit more detail on it. But the Fed is still not ready to roll out a rate cut, Powell tells lawmakers. And the big thing that I wanted to jump down to is he says the U.S. job market, a pillar of strength for the broader economy, remains solid, but it's not running at the same red-hot pace of a few years ago. The unemployment rate edged higher to 4.1% in June, the highest rate since November 2021. Though employers have continued to hire at a brisk pace, the gap between job openings and the number of unemployed people seeking work, a measure of how tight the labor market is, has narrowed markedly over the past year. But America's economic engine has started to show some cracks. Sales at U.S. retailers have consistently come in weaker than expected for the past few months. Retailers have sounded the alarm on shoppers across the income spectrum, trading down for cheaper alternatives. And I think the most recent study showed, just in a state like Colorado, Colorado's notoriously for being a little bit more affordable, better quality of life. And they said to live a solid life in Colorado as a couple, you needed to make about $257,000 as a household. That was only $4,000 less than what you needed to live a quality life in California, which was $261,000. So this is happening everywhere. We're feeling it. If you listened to last week's episode, you saw us talking about the Walmart cost of goods, the real economy. But let's watch this clip from Jerome Powell.
The committee has stated that we do not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the target range for the federal funds rate until we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. Incoming data for the first quarter of this year did not support such greater confidence. The most recent inflation readings, however, have shown some modest further progress, and more good data would strengthen our confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. We continue to make decisions meeting by meeting. We know that reducing policy restraint too soon or too much could stall or even reverse the progress that we've seen on inflation. At the same time, in light of the progress we've made both in lowering inflation and in cooling the labor market over the past 2 years, elevated inflation is not the only risk we face. Reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will continue its practice of carefully assessing incoming data and their implications for the evolving outlook, the balance of risks, and the appropriate path of monetary policy.
So you heard it right there. What they're trying to do is cool the labor market, which means they're trying to make you unemployed.
Right.
They're trying to make it harder to get a job. That's the real way that they're adjusting the economy. Nobody can afford to buy a house anyways, so it doesn't even matter. Stock market has been insanely hot. It makes no sense. If you look at the S&P 500, there's like 7, they call them the magical 7. Yeah. I think it is that 7 of the 500 stocks that have carried the entire stock market. Everything else is down. So that's not, to me, that's not a healthy economy by any means.
Correct.
And then the real number of inflation and the stuff that doesn't get baked into the inflationary numbers is like cost of living, cost of food, those types of things. The things that impact us on a daily basis, the things that our employees are being impacted by, the things that we're experiencing by having to increase wages in order to accommodate that, increase prices in order to offset the burden of tax, insurance, rent,